Louder! And what's up, everybody, and welcome back to hyPODermic, the pod that sticks you deep. I'm the pod boss, TJ Bowser. Joining me, as always, is the maestro of mayhem, the commandant of chaos, Mr. Nick Benson.
How you doing today, TJ?
Better now that you're here, buddy. So awesome. We have a very special guest today. I am super excited to have her on. I am a big fan of her work. But Nick, I will let you introduce her. Have at it, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This lady is quite an inspiration to me. I before I was even thinking about what I wanted to do in this business, I was watching movies she was in and a little crushing on her a little bit. I got the luxury of meeting her. I believe it was 2020 when we met. We were at a show together, side by side. We were also in an issue of some crazy magazine, some horror magazine together. But the name escapes me right now. But I would love to introduce to you guys actress, producer, and author, Miss Toni Hudson.
I was trying to find that magazine because I just saw it. I've been moving in.
Yeah.
Slowly from stuff.
You remember that, huh? That was fun.
Yeah, because I think I was on the cover.
Yeah, you were.
Of that particular.
Yeah. So much fun.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm happy to be here. Nice to see you.
Absolutely. We are honored to have you here, and it's pretty cool because you have a pretty expansive television and film career as well as being a published author, and I think that's pretty inspiring for a lot of people that listen. So I kind of want to start by telling your story about what led you to do what you wanted to do.
Well, I started off in a showbiz type family, but more from the local community theater area, from San Bernardino Civic Light Opera, that my mother was involved in. So I grew up with her always auditioning and tap dancing and singing around the house to go audition for this theater. Now, my grandmother owned a dance studio. She taught little boys and girls how to dance and sing, ballet and tap and such. And so my mother was an only child raised kind of like a Shirley Temple.
Entertainment's in your blood then.
So that was kind of, it was all around me.
Right.
And we even tried to put an act together for the Lawrence Welk Show.
Oh, wow.
That's how far back. Called The Three Generations, where we were tap dancing and stuff, but it never came to fruition. But yeah, so I started there. Being around it, I would do talent shows in middle school. Mm-hmm. And then I remember seeing a teen magazine and saying, hey, I'd like at the grocery store. And I told my mother I'd like to be in one of those, and she's looking at cans and not paying attention. And she says, well, call them up and tell them. Mm-hmm. So I took the magazine home and found in the back of the magazine where it was down on Sunset Boulevard, their teen magazine. And I called them up and told them I wanted to be in their magazine. Well, send us some photos. And I had just happened to have been shopping at the mall at Judy's clothing store. And the owners of Judy's was in there and they saw me and said, hey, we're going to do a story in the newspaper local. Would you mind trying on some clothes? We'll give you an outfit and we can use your pictures. I said, sure. So then that started like a little modeling thing, of which then a photographer who took the photos was from the Brooks Institute and then had a gig to do what f-stops were in Photogenic magazine or photography magazine. And he needed a model. So then I ended up modeling. So I started doing that. And then I ended up getting the gig in Teen Magazine. 2 months later, I was shooting the Christmas issue. So I was in Teen Magazine just by calling them up and saying, hey, I want to be in there.
Oh, wow. That's
and they even shot a version of my shoot for a possible cover. I had a box with a bow and red lips. And then they put a candy cane in my mouth and it looked a little too sexy. So they said, no to that. But I was still inside with, and that started. Then I went to a commercial workshop called Weiss, Barron & Hill in Burbank. And they said, you're a walking commercial. And they got me my first agent, which was at Joseph Helfond and Ricks, which was on Hollywood and Highland, right where everything happens now. And so I went in there and got an agent. And then I had 2 or 3 agents. They were all kind of vying for me. I had agents sending me out to see which one I was going to sign with. That's how in the commercial world. And then how did I get my theatrical agent? Well, because Joseph Helfond and Ricks, I forget which one. Sandy Joseph was married to, or her boyfriend was an agent for theatrical. And so she told him, hey, meet this girl. She's amazing. So I went in and read for him and went, oh my God, you're amazing. And it just kept rolling like that. And I started doing films right away.
Wow.
I was doing national commercials. I've done over 50 national commercials.
Right.
And then, the first film was Young Doctors in Love.
Yeah. That's one of the first ones I saw you in.
Yeah. I was originally hired for 3 days to be a little candy striper in a scene or 2.
Right.
And ended up working 13 weeks. And it was a very large cast, 72 players in that cast.
Yeah, it was a big cast in that film.
Yes. And everybody went off to do very amazing things from that. It was Gary Marshall's directorial debut.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I worked with a lot of people, made a lot of friends in that experience. But working 13 weeks and watching Gary do what he does, creating the team around him. I mean, yeah, all the aspects of movie making kind of dripped on me early.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's neat.
Yeah, and then.
So that led to miscellaneous television roles, didn't it?
Oh, sure. Yes, I did.
You did like Knight Rider and Love Boat and
soap operas. I did Knight Rider, Laverne and Shirley, A-Team. Greatest American Hero.
Right.
A lot of 80s episodic television, which was
it was cool. I remember seeing a lot of you in those days.
And my ex-husband starred in one of the most popular ones of that time, which was called
Is that Dirk?
Yeah, Dirk was in the A-Team as Faceman, Templeton.
Right.
So, I was of that ilk with Stephen J. Cannell, who was, writing and producing everything at that time on television.
Yeah. Everything was a Cannell production at that time.
Yeah. So, I rode that little swirl for a minute, had 2 babies, in the midst of it. So you walk away from a career when you have children if you do it yourself. I didn't want to hand my kids over to a nanny. So I'm the all natural girl. So my company called Correct Living, which is my second book that I wrote. Mm-hmm. Correct spelled with a K-E-R-E-K-T. Oh, here's a fun picture that we did for Correct Living. It kind of shows.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a consciously proactive preventative lifestyle through food, basically, as the basis. But it's body, mind, and spirit. And I've been living that way for over 45 years. And it has seemed to do me well. Episode 9, 9 is my life path number.
Oh, wow. Like it's meant to be.
Yeah, no, seriously. I just thought it was episode 9.
That's
so,
cool.
So a lot of episodic in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what brought
Go ahead.
Was it after the episodic stuff that you got onto just one of the guys?
Well, just one of the guys was like my 4th film.
Okay.
I had a great experience auditioning and getting the role in a movie called Places in the Heart.
Oh, okay.
Sally Field won an Academy Award for that movie as Best Actress. I think it won several other cinematography or something. I'm pretty sure. So I had to audition for that part, but it was quite a unique story because it came down to a girl in New York and me, and I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
I had auditioned 3 and 4 times for this amazing project, and they kept bringing me back. And then all of a sudden I didn't hear, and I knew they were getting ready to go to location in Texas. So I called my agent, and they said, well, they're already down there. I don't know. I said, well, can you call and tell them I'll come down there if they need to read me again? Oh, well, they're not going to pay for that. No, tell them I'll pay. So my agent called them and said, hey, she'll pay herself if you want to read her. And they said, it's not a bad idea. We could read her with the local guy, which is the boyfriend part, you know. So
Right.
I spent all my money and bought a ticket and flew down to Waxahachie, Texas. Robert Benton was the director and writer of the movie. And auditioned in the evening. And then they said, thank you for coming by. And I had spent all my money on that airplane ticket. I think I had $25 left in my account. It was like $365 for the ticket to Dallas, Texas. And so now I'm sitting in like the Bates Motel in the lobby with my suitcase at 10 o'clock in the morning because I had to be out of my room, but my flight's not till 6.
Yeah.
And it's really like dank and dusty and dark. And all they did is say thanks. And I'm like, and I'm crying the whole night before.
Oh.
I shouldn't be an actor. I'm just not meant to do this. It was horrible. I mean, they sent Sandra Lee, Robert Benton's assistant, great woman, came up to my room and tried to get, you know, me to act better. I mean, how humiliating. Like, you're not good enough. Let me try and but will you stay and read again in the morning? So I did with the young guy. And again, they said, thank you. So that's when I'm sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Robert Benton and Sandra Lee behind come walking across this very dark lobby. And they said, oh, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm waiting because I had to be out of my room and my flight, I need a driver. And he says, have you eaten lunch? I said, no. He goes, come with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, and then he stopped and he turned and I said, because pending we make a deal, the part is yours.
Oh, wow.
So he takes me into the parking lot of this motel out in the middle of Waxahachie, Texas, 30 miles south of Dallas, and took me out there. And there's all the trailers for production.
Right.
And so you go inside and it's buzzing with fax machines back then and phones ringing and everything. Lunch is being served. It's all laid out and catered. And he's introducing me to the whole cast. Sally Field comes up and was introduced and said, did you just find out? And I'm like, yeah. And he said, yeah, she's playing Ermin Hightower. And she goes, oh, I just got chills. And John Malkovich and Danny Glover and all the cast. So
wow,
I
what an
had
opportunity.
A great experience, earned the part, went to Texas, shot the part, and then the whole role basically gets cut out of the movie.
Oh, jeez. But you bet on yourself and you got it.
Yes, but there's so many things that come full circle. Oh, yes, I still got my credit, still got paid, still had the experience and the credibility in the industry. But then come around, Starfest was in Vegas and Kansas City, and we were the one in Show West, excuse me.
Okay, Show West. I'm familiar with it.
Show West, but this was Show-A-Rama, which was in Midwest.
Right.
So I'm going to the Kansas City, but they have this event the night before. I'm star of the future, and Robert Benton was director of the year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
The director that cut me out of the movie. So there we are, sitting on the same dais. John Travolta was was comeback star because of Quentin Tarantino's movie.
Wow.
And then Victor Banerjee was international star from Passage to India. It was quite a she thing. But so it came back around where Robert and I were sitting on. It was really cool.
That's kind of neat. That's great stuff.
I did about 4 movies intermixed with the 80s television stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then just one of the guys came.
What's that?
Then just one of the guys came in as
gotcha. Okay.
I originally auditioned for the lead role, like most of the girls.
Right.
They kind of went through the girls they liked and then put us off into categories, prom queen, best friend.
Right.
Oh, and then ironically, to tie in some more of Places in the Heart and all of that, the other girl in New York that they were looking at was Deborah Goodrich.
Okay.
Who plays the prom queen in Just One of the Guys.
Right.
So as she's coming to be on location with me, she knows that Toni Hudson's the girl that got the part in the movie that we just done.
Oh boy.
And now we're the best of friends.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We've been at each other's weddings and childbirthings, and she's an author with her 3rd book out. She just finished her tour on her 3rd book, which is called Reef Road. So prom queen from Just One of the Guys is also an author.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool. I know that you also worked with a production designer that I worked with named Mick Strawn on Leatherface, and we have a very large horror audience, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to get you here.
Of course.
Can you talk a little bit about working on Leatherface and
Exactly. Well, one of those moments where I was having babies, I was in my first trimester of my second child. And so my second child right now is 33 years old.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So that's how long ago this is.
Yep.
But I had an audition for a movie and I'm not showing because I'm in my first trimester and I know that I can still be physical, and I knew this was a physical role. So I didn't tell anybody that I was pregnant. I just went on the audition.
Oh.
And when I went on the audition, of course, this character is basically running in the woods being chased by Leatherface the whole time, basically.
Mhm.
So how do you do that in an office? I thought to myself. So I went, I know what I'll do. So I went in and I said, can we chat after, not before? Because then it takes then you know me, and now you have to believe that I'm the girl out in the woods.
Right.
Let's be the girl out in the woods first, and then we can chat after. And he was fine with that. So what I did is I just went across the office, which is not very big, into the corner, and just slid down into the fetal position. So he had to actually get up from behind the desk to look over to see what the heck I was doing. He couldn't be eating a sandwich and just be leaning back and kicking back. He had to pay attention.
Right.
And I just played the crazy girl that was out in the woods and had to eat a fucking rat raw, I just got crazy with it. Just all in the corner, But then, and I got the part. So
awesome.
I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant. And this is actually on the laser disc, the director's narration. Jeff Burr talks about this.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about to shoot where Leatherface cuts me in half against the tree. He finally catches me. And so we've got the and we've got the Caro syrup with the hose going up my nose.
Yeah.
And there's they have a rubber person because we had to do the special effects and have one of me too. So that I got to experience that, making the mold and all that. And so I say, hey, Jeff, I just wanted to let you know, just in case.
By the way.
I'm in my first trimester of pregnancy. So I just, I guess I should have told you. He's like, what? Huh? And we went ahead and shot and everything was great.
So I know that there was a lot of, TJ knows more about this than I do, but I know there was a lot of production nightmares with that particular film. Did you experience anything with regards to that?
Luckily, actually, I think I was left out of it.
Were you?
Yeah, I think I was so only outside, way out in the location near Magic Mountain.
Okay.
And so night shoots, so you're not going to have a lot of the people behind the scenes on set. They're all sleeping, ready to wake up and yell at the same people tomorrow.
Right.
And we're up working the handful of us getting these nighttime shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I really was kind of removed from any of that kind of stuff, which was great. And it helped me because I needed to be that kind of alone in the woods chick. I love the stuff, smoking the cigarette with who's he? I just forgot his name. It just left my brain. Wonderful. Ken.
Forey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Forey, yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh, it was so fun working with him. He was so fun and made it really comfortable. We had a lot of fun doing the little cute stuff with the cigarettes and, hold up. And like he, I light it and I give it to him and I act all badass, give it to him. But when he gives it to me and he's gone, I'm holding it with two hands like I'm scared as fucking shit, like this cigarette is going to help me.
I think Mick Strawn has a good story about your death scene and the special effects that went into the dummy.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
There was a dummy created of you, right, with the arms?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think Mick has a story about the arms malfunctioning over and over again. Yeah. He tells it better. Check our other podcast, Rabbit Hole, for that story.
Okay, yeah. No, I haven't heard, because I'm just doing my part. If
Right.
I'm
Yes.
involved, that could have been when I'm not even involved as well.
That's true. They could have called you in after all that was already solved.
Yeah, I have no idea. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
All I know is that I had to do it twice. So, once you're all bloodied with the syrup, because a guy's laying on his back with a little paint.
The pressure hose thing, yeah.
Yeah, a little pressure hose, a little
spraying you with it.
Because he's down below, everything's going up every orifice. So you have to take a shower. They got to dry your hair, but not dry your hair, and then get the blood out, so it can be blood for the first time. All of the getting ready again to be dirty, to be even dirtier.
Absolutely.
And that's fun. That's play, right? There's no complaining about it at all. It's a gift to be able to do that and get paid for it. So
it's it's a lot of work to do those scenes, and it is very tough on actors. I don't think a lot of people understand how tough that can be on an actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And imagine doing it pregnant.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought the emotions would work well. If I had me.
Yeah. That probably helped a lot.
Oh, sure. And it wasn't to me, sometimes those kind of parts are easier because you have all the wardrobe and the blood and the preparation to make it look gory.
Right.
And so that helps the whole process. When you have to just strip down and have a straight conversation and have it be believable, sometimes it's like, oh,
sure.
You can't hide behind anything.
Sure. All that stuff kind of helps immerse you in the part. So
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously Jeff Burr is great to work with. Love him.
Jeff's awesome.
Yeah. We've tried to get together. I've had a couple of projects, that I had spinning for a minute. And had him come in as director on them. So
very cool.
We're always looking out for each other.
Very cool. Did that help you decide you wanted to produce some of your own stuff?
Well, what it is that I guess that I just didn't know how good I am. Because you just think, well, other people do that, so you just stay in your lane, so to speak. But then, I would champion some of my friends' work and writing screenplays. And I went to Cannes twice and pushed, lots of projects around. Had great meetings and created some really good relationships on that side of the camera.
Right.
With a producing partner, and she lives in Georgia, which took me to Georgia for 2.5 years, and that's where we made Charlie's Christmas Witch, which is the first movie I produced as a producer. Lionsgate distributed our movie, so it's available, every Christmas. I think you can find it anywhere right now.
Yeah,
Charlie's Christmas Wish, but it's a family Christmas dog, homeless veteran themed movie that's out every Christmas for sure. And my dog Charlie was the dog Charlie. I trained her. She wasn't a movie dog, but I trained her, so I was the handler. I helped form the story and the script. I can't say that I wrote any of it legally. A set design and it's all on a dime, but it's so fun. And we really had a vision for it. Sue Ann was my producing partner in that, was the driving force in that in reference to getting all the money.
Right.
And raising the money. She's a genius. And so, and we produced our first movie. We did it. 2 chicks did it. And it was really
That's awesome.
Then we had the crew quit on us at one point. And, payroll's not coming through because it was COVID and stuff. And, there were lots of bumps, but that just makes you prepared more for the next one. Yeah. And understanding how the game works or doesn't. And so really good learning experience. I see the gift in all those learning experiences.
Yeah, that's the tough one, is to stick it out and ride the roller coaster, so to speak, until it's through, because sometimes people give up a little too soon. I find a lot of people that talk to me, they're like, should I keep working at this? Of course, if it's your dream, keep working at it. Keep trying.
I think if you have to ask someone else what one should do for their own life, they're just not paying attention to their surroundings, because God and the world and whatever they connect to is guiding you every day.
Absolutely.
If you pay attention. But sometimes they say you can't see it right in front of you, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And there are signs everywhere. Like I see that too, because I know, like I've actually with the writer's strike, and I'm totally behind it. It's been hard in this business while this writer's strike's been happening. And I've had a lot of projects get kind of halted, but that's okay, because it's about the long haul and it's about the end result. And, I am determined to stick it through, because I feel that the stuff that I'm involved in is worthwhile. And there are signs everywhere that come up every single day that tell me the same thing.
Now there's a writer's strike, but it doesn't stop you from writing.
No.
So I don't see the strike. Sorry. Whether I'm pushing it, whether I can produce it, whether I can actually get it done, that's another story. But it ain't a writer's strike to me, because I can write any day of the week.
That's kind of what I'm saying, is I haven't let it stop any of the things that I'm doing. I'm getting them into place and doing what I can do. And while that's all happening, and then whatever I can pull the trigger on as soon as it's done, there it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I'm an actor, right? In your face, as they kind of know who you are. And I just had skin cancer surgery a little over 6 months ago. And the scar, the cutting, I could show you a picture. You fans of horror, you would love to see those friggin' stitches on my face. This is like 6-7 months post-op. But anyway, I have a graft that was here, and the scar goes up here and across here, down here, my nose. This scar here is all connected to one. So they okay, ready? Here's the gory part. So they sliced the skin off my face and they pulled it out, right? Then they tilted it down. That's why this little puffy cheek thing is right down here now. So they pulled it out and pulled it down. Now there's a space here. Oops. So they cut a piece off here, sewed it onto there, and then stitched me up. So this is me with a little bit of makeup on, but that's 6-7 months post-op. So talk about writer's strike, the actor's strike.
Yeah.
You can't really act while you're recovering.
No. Well, you look fantastic, and I'm glad that you are through that. That is a tough ordeal. I had an accident myself in 2021 that left me partially disabled. Wow. I fell out of a studio ceiling that was 16 feet high and shattered a foot. And very similarly, had to have my foot cut open and all kinds of stuff like the Home Depot put into it to hold it together. So, it's you just got to keep pushing, doing what you can do.
Yeah. So, I've always been writing. My first book was Racquetball for Women when I was 19 years old. They asked me to write an instructional book for women. I said, okay. And it's still on Amazon somewhere for probably 99 cents, if not less. But that was 19 years old. And then I wrote How I Found Myself with Correct Living, which is about how I eat healthy. And I've been doing that for over 45 years, I guess. And I have an audio book out. I don't have an e-book yet, but I was going to show the cover. It looks like that. Yeah. And I've been eating basically no meat, no dairy, no sugar, and no refined foods for over 45 years, incorporating a lot of Japanese Eastern philosophies.
Right.
On yin and yang and acid, alkaline, sodium, potassium balance. I don't count calories or grams of fat. I eat whole foods grown as close to being just out of the ground as possible. And then, and what's in season, what's indigenous to the area in which I live. And and cook mostly my own meals because it tastes better to me anyway.
Sure. Well, the fresher the ingredients, the better things are anyways.
Yeah. So in my book, it's my story told through food, like what I ate growing up, what made me change, and I raised all three of my kids this way. My pregnancies, I didn't eat eggs and I didn't do all the normal stuff. I did what I do, a lot of sea vegetables, seaweeds, and fresh fish, wild caught, organic all the way, juices, and all that kind of stuff was how I raised my kids. And then I breastfed them and made their baby food.
Mm-hmm.
And and didn't vaccinate them either. So I know that's an interesting topic that people love to talk about. But yeah, no, I believe that child gets all the antibodies it needs right from the mother's.
Absolutely.
That's how it's created for every animal. And so I just went that route,
Right.
And then I read a book called, I don't remember what it was called. It was on vaccines, but the other side, because you don't get access to the other side much. I had to kind of find it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made those decisions, and I have amazingly healthy, beautifully bright, giving, caring 3 sons. And I raised them all this way. So it worked for me, and I share it and how I do it in my book, how I found myself with correct living. And then my boys also do a chapter. I had them write what it was like being raised, being different and eating that way.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. And there's some recipes in there and all of that. So that's the second book. And then my newest one is Tinder Love. And
that one's brand new, right?
This just came out. Yeah. This is on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's a collection of diary stories from Tinder. I dated on Tinder, and I wrote about it. And it's erotica, romantica, erotica. They're short stories. There's 14 dates. And
Racy stories with Toni.
Well, you know what it is? It's interesting. And I can get a little bit serious for a moment. Not serious, but a topic that is very prevalent always. But, I'm a woman. And so I have a history. Yeah. We all have a story. And part of mine, because I say to people in the funny jokester way, my life is not like a Jerry Springer episode. It's like a Jerry Springer season.
Oh, boy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how varied it is. But in this instance, what I found cathartic about writing these stories, and I've never read erotica. It's not something I've written before. But I was single for about 7 years, dating often, and learning a lot about myself by dating. And so I would do these little voice memos after the dates. And so because I wanted to date till I never was single as an adult.
Right.
I was married back to back, 3 kids. So here I am. And so I figured it out. And when I listened to those, I went, this would be interesting, a collection of dates. So I wrote them, the voice memos, into stories. And then what I realized is it also empowered me, because I come from child abuse, sex abuse in my past. And I don't have any issues that you would think, I should be in the gutter.
Right.
When you hear, I just went to this amazing, wonderful lady, Yumi, a hypnotherapist, for just this deep relaxation thing she does. Mm-hmm. And when she takes your story down, oh my gosh, she's like, that you're here and like above ground.
Yeah.
So this Tinder Love is very empowering. So it was taking my sensuality back instead of being a woman of servitude to men.
Yeah.
I took it into my own hands and learned about myself, and that there's many ways to love and to be loved. And so, they're page and a half. You can read a date a night, and you're done in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's super cool. What I love about your story is it seems to me that you are, and kind of always have been, a woman of self-empowerment, because you were never afraid to jump in and do things. Mm-mm. You were never afraid of any of that. You just decided, I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to do it, and fuck it. And that's so important, because you knew the things you wanted and you went after them. And despite all of the garbage that you went through, and now in your rediscovery, it seems that like you are definitely like a shining light to other women. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, I write about, thank you for saying that. I write about it, about the author, and there's some people who review the book too in here, but I write about it that, it really empowered me to pay attention, to relationship. And the men I describe are very real. I mean, those were real men. I've changed the names. I might have put it in a different town. The pictures, some of them are the real guys, the pictures.
Right.
As it doesn't show their face, and it's my picture, I took it. But some of them are friends of mine that I said, hey, I'm writing a book. You would make a great Frenchie. You're my Frenchie. And I said, here's the story. And your picture, one picture of you would represent my Frenchie in this little story. And he said, absolutely. So some of them are that way. But yeah. And that's just volume 1. That's only 14 dates.
So you have more.
7 or 8 years. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, though. I mean, it seems to me that something like that coming much later in your life, I'm sure it was more than cathartic to do, but like taking ownership of your whole life, because there's always, I was a child of abuse too, and like there's pieces and that you don't feel like you have, and when you rediscover that and that you actually do have control of it,
yes,
and you can retrain yourself to realize that.
I call that, in my correct living world, that I teach a person how to design a life instead of just endure one.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. That's powerful stuff. And I hope that you get to share more of that with the world.
Yeah, that'll come definitely. But Tinder Love is really, it's unique, and it's being developed into a television series.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
super cool.
Really cool.
Did you correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you start to develop one for Correct Living too?
Yes, I did. I
thought I remember talking to you about that when you were at the show.
I had a whole thing going. Yes. In fact, I have, my website, ToniHudson.com. I didn't have ToniHudson.com for a while because someone had absconded it when I was not financially on it and paid my GoDaddy account. So I lost it, and it was almost $1,000 to get it back. So it took me a while to get it back. And so my website now has a presence, at least, but I don't have a lot of content on it yet. But I want to go there with a lot of my content and just take social media and push it to my website, because I have all arms of who I am there. I have my books. I want to do more of, blog and podcast stuff daily. Yeah. And, do it there.
You should even do a Correct Living podcast. That might be kind of cool to do.
Exactly. No, exactly. And
I know a guy.
There's a disembodied voice here that's telling you it's possible.
And the thing is the thing that I really like about where I come, my angle, because I'm not like someone who's 300 pounds and now look at me now. I've always been similar size. So it's not about that in reference to my story. What my story is that I've been doing it for 45 years. I'm 62 years old.
Yeah.
I still
and you're very active. You're super active.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm racquetball, tennis, golf. Still do cartwheels, and I dance, and I invented a workout, and
Yeah.
So it's, in other words, my life is just beginning. Is how I feel, really. And I've fallen in love with an amazing man who's very creative, but also a great businessman himself. So, having the experience of falling in love in an older age, and it's not to couple to create a family. It's very different. Oh, yeah. It is. It's different.
For sure. Mm-hmm. It's about that long-term.
But if you want to know who he is the guy named Steven.
Oh, he's the story.
So anybody listening, listen, hang on. Anybody in this podcast listening right now will know that Steven, and the byline is he's a contender. And there's 2 dates. No, there's 5 dates with Steven right in a row. Date 1, date 2, date 3, date 4. And there is Steven. That is truly Steven down in Cabo. That's where he was living. He took me down there many, many times, but this was a particular date. Or 2 or 3. And then Steven is also another guy. So you guys are getting inside scoop. No one's going to know this, because he took me on a trip, which was very bucket list.
Yeah.
romantic bucket list. And I said, okay, I have to write about this because this was amazing. And I said, but you get to name the guy because, and so he named him Tyler. And the picture for Tyler is actually us. Out of focus, but us, because I blurred it. But it's us.
Yeah.
On East Cape. So there's some fun connection of real stuff. And I fantasized stories because not every Tinder date was great.
Right. That's an understatement.
Yeah, so it's fantasy. In fact, I even talk about what is the definition of fantasy, right?
Right.
So, yeah, right here, fantasy.
And this book is available on Amazon or?
Yeah, Amazon Books. And you get it. There's an ebook. And there's I think it's $9.99, and the prices are going to go up. I think June 20th.
Okay.
I just got a notice because I have a Kindle print on demand account, and so you get the book within like a couple of days if you do paperback. I think paperback is more fun.
Right. Yeah, I'm somebody that has to have physical media. I like physical media. I'm not really much for reading on a computer.
Bring it to wherever I am, folks, and I'll sign it. But and please leave a review. That would help me greatly.
Awesome. So to kind of wrap this up, I know it's a little bit early, but maybe we can touch on some things here. Since you've had such a broad career in film, television, writing, everything, like, is there any, like, what was the best advice you ever got?
The best advice. I don't know if I got any advice. I think I'm an observer. I don't miss anything. So when I'm on set, whether it's live television or it's a film set or a commercial set or whatever my participation is, doesn't matter. I'm always learning and I'm always watching and paying attention. So, I mean, Gary Marshall told me he created a team because he wanted people that understood him like that. He didn't want to have to explain himself every friggin' time. So once he found somebody that worked great as a cinematographer or as, wardrobe or whatever, and they could gel together, creating a team and letting them know, all right, you work with me, I'll hire you always, kind of thing. So they're loyal. They become loyal, and that makes the machine run really well.
Right.
That I learned. Walter Miller, who is now gone, but he did live television. He the Grammys for 30 years, the Country Music Awards, produce and direct and all that. And I learned a lot from him. I learned to stand up for myself with him, only because he was rude to me. And then I stood up for myself. And as a choreographer, I've choreographed the Country Music Awards 5 years in a row. I've done 8 of Dwight Yoakam's videos as a choreographer and been in 3 to 5 of them. He's a friend of mine, and he's an amazing talent, Dwight Yoakam.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've dabbled. I'm not a triple threat. I'm a deca threat.
Because you want to know how to do everything.
Well,
that's awesome.
I've just written a film that I'm in the finishing of the 3rd draft called Living on the Fringe, which is basically part of my story because I lived out of my car for about 3 years. House surfing, couch sitting, and all that. And actually, that's reversed. But anyway,
we have a lot in common. I did some of that myself.
I took a real situation and wrote a movie about it, and it's inspirational movie, dramedy, but character driven. Have a lot of great people already committed to it, and some wants for some stars. I want Ryan Gosling to play Brandon. And so I wouldn't mind Michelle Pfeiffer playing my part and I direct because it's my story.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be cool? I write it. It's my story. So she plays herself because it's at this age. It's not when she's playing herself younger. So I don't know. I think it'd be very impactful, but they like names. She's a bigger.
Yeah.
But you
Well,
never know.
maybe you just keep it out there, keep putting it out there, and the right stuff will fall into place. I know. I know your career has been that way, and you're very similar to me. It doesn't seem like you give up till you get what you want.
Oh gosh, yeah, no. I mean, I'm still championing a project called The Poet that Carol Hummel wrote, and that's
Yeah.
the wife of a set designer, Bob Hummel, and she's an amazing writer. And it's a period film. We want Peter Dinklage and Colin Farrell, and it's in
Wow.
Ireland. And it's an Academy Award-winning movie. It's
Wow.
just I see it, and yeah, I mean, I'm still championing that. So I have a whole thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like sounds very similar to what I do. I keep as many things moving as I can.
And usually when someone says, "What do you do for a living?" I say, "I'm a creative," because it's too hard to explain.
Yeah, absolutely. People like to put me in that kind of, oh, well, you're a special effects guy. No, I do way more than that. So.
Yes. I mean, you get to a certain, higher level in one of the areas, and that's what you're known for. But
what you're known for.
of course, yeah, no. I mean, I have an album of songs, original songs, country.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's there isn't a spot that I don't touch.
That's
It's
super cool. But that's what you wanted to do with your life, right? You didn't it's like you were talking about earlier. It's like you get these little signs that kind of guide you throughout your life, and I feel like that's how I've followed it too.
Okay,
It's like,
can I tell you a Tom Cruise story?
yeah.
Okay. I shouldn't have said his name because now I ruined the fucking thing. Anyway, so I'm coming into a casting and director's office. His name is Lynn Stallmaster. He's casted so many movies. You look him up on IMDb. Lynn Stallmaster won an Academy Award a few years back as an honorary. Anyway, he brings me into their office to do a read, just a cold read for the office to know who I am. I read for Gail Eisenstadt. Gail Eisenstadt says, "Oh, can you hold on? I want you to do that again." Goes and gets Toni Howard. Now, Toni Howard is now a big agent, a woman.
Yep.
I think it's CAA. Anyway, she was an assistant to Lynn Stallmaster at the time. So she goes, "I want you to do that again for Toni." So Toni comes in, "Please do that again." I read again and I went, "Okay, you got to come back and read for Paul." So Paul Newman is directing and starring in a movie called Harry and Son. And so he's casting for his son, and the girlfriend. And so I'm reading for the girlfriend of the son.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I read in the office for Toni and Gail. And now they're having me come back to read for, actually, I first come back to read for Lynn Stallmaster. Then they have me come back and read for Paul Newman, which I didn't know at the beginning. Right. And Joanne Woodward is there. I show up on a Saturday. There's no one in the office. It's totally empty. And I'm feeling, this is strange. And I go in, I'm sitting like in the dentist's office, a little window, and you're just sitting there waiting. And all of a sudden, Toni Howard comes out. She goes, "Oh, good, you're here." And I went, "Yes." And it's an 8-page dramatic scene. And I go in, chat a little bit with Paul. Joanne Woodward's in the corner doing needlepoint,
Mm-hmm.
And he had another producer with him, Toni and Lynn. I read with Lynn. Chatted a little bit, nervous. I don't remember a lot of the chat, but left. And as I left, there was a guy sitting in the waiting room. And you do that actor nod like, "Hey, good luck."
Yeah.
And I leave out the door down the hall, and I'm at the elevator. And then Toni Howard pops her head out. She's, "Toni, are you still there?" And I went, "Yes, I am." And she goes, and as we're walking back in, she says, "I would like you to read with this actor from New York."
Mm-hmm.
Because he's here. And so this is like his 4th or 5th callback. And there's no rehearsal. He says, "Toni, Tom, this is Toni." We shake hands, walk in, follow Toni in, and do this 8-page scene. Now there's not a dry eye in the room. Everybody's crying.
Oh, wow.
Joanne Woodward stopped the needlepoint. We have this amazing conversation about how great we were and how inspiring. And we ended the scene forehead to forehead. And Tom whispers in my ear, "You did better than anybody I read with in New York."
That's awesome.
And then we leave as 2 excited actors and go down the elevator and then walk across the street of Pico Boulevard to Love's Barbecue Pit and sit for 4 hours having coffee, jacked out of our minds about this experience we just had reading for Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward.
Right.
Neither of us get the part.
Oh, wow.
So in reference to where this lies in Tom's career, Taps had already come out.
Right.
But Risky Business was in the can, but hadn't come out yet.
Wow.
So no one really knew Tom Cruise as Tom Cruise yet. So he was just a dude, you know, and I was just an actor,
Right.
and we had a great experience. And then that was it. I never saw him again. And and then Risky Business came out, and then he became Tom Cruise.
Right.
Now I'm doing live television and working the Oscars. I worked them for years. I stood in for Ellen every time she hosted. I was Ellen for the rehearsal, 12 days up to the Oscars. It's a whole nother series I'm writing called The Stand-In. Anyway, I'm sitting at the Oscars doing this other job as a stand-in, and a stand-in there, you have to do everything that the real people do. Read the prompt, pretend to win, give a speech. Everything has to be real because it goes live. Okay.
Right.
So it's not just standing for lighting, even though that's what they say. So Tom Cruise is coming to rehearse Best Picture. Now, this is the year that Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy are nominated for War Horse. Okay, producer, director. I'm sitting in Kathleen Kennedy's seat. My cohort, another Tom, is sitting in Steven Spielberg's seat. And what they do up to rehearsal in this is they have everybody who's nominated in Best Movie, Best Picture, practice winning so that each camera guy can follow everybody up. Everyone gets a practice. So we'd only been 2 times that somebody has won. So I'm saying to my cohort, have we won yet? Wait, have we won? Am I going to walk up on the Oscar stage and Tom Cruise is going to hand me an Oscar right now? Is this what's going to happen? And he's doing his thing, and he goes, and for rehearsal purposes only, he has to read what's in there. War Horse, Kathleen Kennedy, Steven Spielberg. So we have to jump up, we hug each other, we have to run down. And here's Tom, handing me the Oscar. He's going, wait, who are you? How you look? And I'm on camera. It's live. They're in the truck. We're rehearsal. And here I am having this freaking conversation with Tom Cruise, thinking the stand-in is chatting up the movie star.
Oh, no.
This is all going to be in the television. So in the wings is, the stage manager's going, what the hell is she doing? I just can't believe it. And he's just going, oh my God. And I said, yeah, you and I, Harry and Son. He goes, oh, you look amazing. I can't believe it. Now, my cohort is doing his Spielberg speech, and I'm supposed to be over there with him. So I said, hang on 1 second, Tom. Real quick, and be Kathleen Kennedy. Oh, yeah. So then I run over. I do it. And then the trophy girl, does her escort us off, and so he and I get to walk along and chat, of course, while the stage manager's going, what the hell is she doing? And then they whisk him off to some press, and that's the last time I've seen Tom. But that was 30 years from seeing him from the audition.
Wow.
To him handing me an Oscar on the Oscar stage.
Wow. That's cool.
I have a lot of stories like that.
That's awesome. So to kind of wrap this up, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to anybody up and coming or that wants to do this? It seems so obvious to me with someone like you, because you're just a go-getter, and you're not afraid of anything. And I love that about you. I think you're such an inspiration because of that.
Twice, and I'm so loving you for saying it. But I'm actually afraid every time I do something new, but I do it anyway.
But you take the gamble.
That's my point. I'm not scared.
Right. Well, okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Because I do get scared, and my heart goes, and my legs.
You're a risk taker, and that's important too. I think because people scare themselves out of doing things, and I see you as somebody who's taken those risks and done it anyway, and they've paid off. Those risks.
Well, one of my biggest things, I guess, to encompass a lot of who I am is that the adage that creativity is greater than knowledge.
Yeah.
So the idea that knowing a lot of things, going to college and getting a degree, a piece of paper that you put on the wall, which is what we've been taught.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. If you don't do that, you're a loser, you're not responsible, you're all the things that they tell us that is negative.
Yep.
And I just always has been the black sheep in the idea that I went a different direction constantly. Every time they said, go over here, everybody's going over here. I said, okay, I'm going to go this way then. And I just kept doing that, whether it was food, whether it was picking a career. And I always follow what makes me happy. Now, am I happy all the time? No. I should be, and learning how to do that, which is just basically gratitude and appreciation in every moment. Because if you're present in the moment, there's no worry. There's no fretting about the past or worry about the future because you're present, like right here, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then here's the biggest thing. So that was it. Creativity greater than knowledge. And so I take my life and I write about it, whether it's a script, TV show, book. I take my life. And I learned that in the movie Cross Creek. I was with Mary Steenburgen, Malcolm McDowell, and Rip Torn. Martin Ritt directed that movie. It was my second movie I did. And the character that Malcolm McDowell played was an editor that Mary Steenburgen character, Marjorie Rawlings, was trying to get published. And she kept writing these Gothic romances of time which she never lived, right? And trying to tell these stories. Of course, she would accompany her manuscript of these Gothic romances with a note about her new life. She left New York and went to Cross Creek, Florida, which is bought an orange grove so she could write because her husband was being, snooty. And the letters mesmerized the editor, Max Perkins, real person. And so Max Perkins is reading these letters. So he finally wrote her after the fourth Gothic friggin' romance, He sends back, he goes, please stop writing that of which you know nothing of. These letters of Cross Creek fill me up. I can't wait to read the next one. I can't wait because it's of real. You're experiencing it and you're telling me, and that's what I want more of. And so she wrote The Yearling.
Wow.
And that's the true story. And Mary Steenburgen is amazing in that part. Beautiful movie. And I had a supporting role. So, it was great. That was such a great experience. But that taught me that whole idea.
So that's what you would suggest for anybody is just don't be so afraid that you stifle yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, creativity greater than knowledge, passion is what drives us, and having challenges. I'm 5 feet 6 inches tall, so if I'm standing up and I'm attempting something, but I fall flat on my face, I'm actually 5 feet 6 inches closer to my goal. Each time that I fail and I'm failing forward. Yeah. And so I see the gift in it. And that's the other thing. So I look at my life in the past and I say, all right, I've had challenges and bumps, lots of them, child abuse, incest, moving every 3 or 4 years, never having a dad. I want 5 different dads. It was chaos. It was survival,
Yeah.
And so with that challenge, I look back though, every challenge and hurdle pushed me for protection, for redirection, to have a different experience. So then I reach for something else because I just realized and experienced what I don't like. I don't like this and this and this and this. So now I search for other things. Now, if there was no pressure on me, no way for then I'm just skating and life's good. But the challenges have made me reach. So I see the gift now. Instead of trying to get caught up in the roller coaster of I deserve better and it shouldn't have happened. And they said, blah, blah, on all of that. I say, show me the gift.
Yeah. Well, there's that. And then for me, there's also even through the failures, it's like, what did it teach me? Right. So you're learning constantly and you're learning what not to do and you're learning what you can do.
I know that the only thing constant is change. Change is expansion.
Absolutely.
So change is expansion.
Yeah,
and so if I'm changing constantly, because we are all changing constantly, whether it's our blood cells or our eyes or our things or whatever, then that means that I want to participate in it and put it in the right direction. I want to expand where I want to go, designing a life instead of enduring one, instead of being in the back seat and letting someone else take the wheel. We'd be bouncing around like whatever the hell they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
It's about us going, no, I'm going to go here. I'm going this way now.
Yep.
Oh, that was fun. Now let's go over here. And it's just choosing. And then if you don't like it, you don't beat yourself up about it. You say, why did I turn right? What an idiot. No. I know now I don't really like that so much.
Right.
So I'll hang over here. And that's what life is. Yin and yang.
Yeah.
Night and day balance. And so, showing me the
one of the things I've also learned is that like through some of my therapy and stuff, I've also learned that you can have a bad attitude about something or you can have a good attitude about it. And either way, with that experience, like let's say waiting at a drive-thru or something, and you're getting impatient, you can either have a good attitude about it or you can have a bad attitude about it. Either way, you're waiting. you know?
Well, what is impatience?
Yeah.
Thinking
So,
that you're better than everybody else. There could
yeah,
be some machine problem. It's not like that the incident of making someone wait is all about us.
right.
Right? Oh, they're making me wait? How
Right.
dare they? That is such an egotistical way to maneuver, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, it really is. And by human nature, most of us are fairly narcissistic anyway. But,
Yes.
you know, if you can kind of work past those things, I think it really helps in getting through life. So,
Well, that's kind of like the person, you know, who's the last one at the jetway to get on a plane because his wife's in labor.
yeah,
And he's pissed off because they shut the doors in and wait, I'm here. Why? Angry, calling everybody. You know, the wife's delivering. Bah! And then realize the plane crashes.
yeah, there's a
He
reason.
could have been spending the whole time being grateful that he's sitting, you see, but he had to take it we don't know what the reason for the redirection is, and it's usually
Absolutely.
and if we just flow with it, I think that's a better way to go.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story with us, because I find it very inspiring within myself, because like I said, I'm also in therapy, and I'm learning some of these things still today that are patience and endurance with certain things, and realizing that stay focused in the moment. Don't treat it like a past experience, because everything that happens is still really a new experience.
And it's always a gift. In other words, you know that there's always a reason that it's happening. Whatever it is, there's a reason always. So if we know that deep down, why get our panties in a bunch? Why get all in a tizzy about something when we can just sit we can go, okay, I have redirection for protection. Don't quite know what it is yet.
Yeah.
But usually that's the case. So I'm just going to say, be kind to myself.
Yeah.
You know?
That's sometimes the hardest part, is being kind to yourself.
Oh, it's a tough one. We beat ourselves up subconsciously often, I believe.
Yeah.
And we don't really need to do that, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Toni, for sharing this with us today. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me on. Let me share.
Let's give everybody your website again, and any of your social media stuff, all of that stuff, and I'm
can
sure
you post
TJ will
it down
put it up.
below as well for people?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Invisible man, you. So my website is ToniHudson.com. And then with an I, Toni Hudson, Hudson, ToniHudson.com. And then my Instagram is Toni Hudson 9, the number 9, because someone already had Toni Hudson. My Facebook is just Toni Hudson. I have Twitter, but I don't have a presence on there because. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. I check in there every now and then, just take a look. I don't like how that website maneuvers, but I'm there. But my IMDb is really good. I'm under 10,000, which is really good for an IMDb star meter. I don't know if you know what that is. That's pretty cool.
I do.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, just look forward to creating. And let's do something together, Nick.
Absolutely.
Come on, man.
We have lots to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you again. I really appreciate you. You're a wonderful human being, and I'm so glad that we got to meet.
Yes.
And thanks for spending your day with us.
All right. Thank you. Oh, thanks for coming back on. Hello.
Yes. I finally got to talk to Sarah from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Did you have any questions? Because I know you just signed off, so I don't know if we're off, but
No, not yet. What was it like to film with a dog?
It was really challenging, and you had to be really focused, and I had to create tricks to get her to, look a certain way and stay looking there, but then follow me. I had to go behind the set and the people and the cameras to get her to go and I had to just make it up as I went. It's not my forte.
That adds a whole other layer, and that was to production on that, I'm sure, because that was one of the films you produced, right?
Yes, I produced it. And so it was my dog which gave us the idea to make the movie. Charlie can be Charlie. And Charlie already knew how to, high five and sit up and do the basic. But I had to teach her how to stay from way far away and then go, and then she would, run to wherever I was. And yeah, it was, so I had to be, and then when my producing partner wasn't on set, I had to wear both those hats at the same time. I was doing the dog and sometimes occasionally also I star in it playing the mom. I play the mom role. And so I had that role as well. So for the dog, the mom, my son played my son. You know, I did the set decorating till 2 a.m. so we could use the kitchen. It was all hands on deck, and it was really fun. I learned a lot. You should watch it. I mean, it's a friendly little movie, but yeah.
Yeah, you've had such a long career. It's hard to cover everything, but yeah, you've done a lot, and it's important to people like us to keep people inspired. That's why we want to have people like you on the show.
Yeah, no, I'd love to have you guys read the book, and then
absolutely,
that's the next step.
And then let's have this conversation because I think it's an important conversation, empowering women. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
Tinder Love Part 2 coming soon to podcast platforms everywhere. And thank you again, Toni, for joining us on another episode of your favorite podcast, HYPODermic, the pod that sticks you deep. I'm TJ Bowser, the pod boss. I will see you guys next week. That's Nick Benson. That's Toni Hudson. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.